in conversation with Neboysha Saikovski. Neboysha Saikovski, an ex-pro basketball player turned military logistic planner and author, offers a unique perspective from living on four continents and surviving four wars. Over the past 30 years, he has worked in war-torn regions like Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, and Iraq for organizations such as the United Nations, DynCorp, Amentum, Vectrus, and Halliburton KBR. These experiences inspire thrillers, weaving crime epics, gripping war stories, political dramas, and tough family experiences. His works blend true event with fiction, creating a compelling narrative with an intriguing feel that reflect the paradoxes of modern times, where evil reigns and tramples are the innocent, while chivalry makes a steady struggle to survive, yet hope for justice and honor continue to persist. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today Neboysha Saikovski. Welcome on the show, Neboysha.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, I must say that it's quite lovely to have you on the show today. Quite exciting. We're going to be having a conversation around your beautiful title. And I must say, you have such a beautiful and lovely name. I love pronouncing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So Nebosha, I need to first say that I was impressed and very impressed and taken aback when I read through the description page of The Greatest Thieves on Amazon, which is the first book in the Pink Panther trilogy. Could you tell us how the book was made and what inspired you to write The Greatest Thieves?
Many authors will say different, reasons or
Mm,
motivations, but actually it's all streamlines to one basic thing because I think all of us wanted to share a story. We
mm,
wanted to tell a certain story, or we wanted to express ourselves about a topic or theme. It can be poetry, or it can be any kind of. Let me say for all the artists. So in this case, I want to tell a story about my country, about the history of my country, about the tough experiences I've faced, and all the people my nation faced through the civil war and this invasion of the country, and how through that societal and moral collapse of all the attributes of that country, to include economic,
wow.
social, everything collapsed, and how out of all that chaos and let's say hurricane of negativity, people emerged in different shape or form. And
Mm,
one of those um most famous examples are the diamond thieves called Pink Panthers,
wow.
which originate nearby my place of birth. And it was a good theme to start the story, which not doesn't only uh, reveal the story about them as a global criminals, but also their history and how they were formed and how they rose to the dominance at the global level. They
Yeah.
became the most important and the most powerful cartel in diamond trade.
Mm,
And but in the background of the story, it's not so only about the thieves. The background of the story is actually about the country, about how all of that tough experiences shaped this story. So that's one. But the motivation was also, maybe we can call it trifled. As a lover of crime thriller, there is not too many true story crime thrillers which
mm,
are original and showing some different aspect. It's very dull and very boring. There are a lot of prequels, sequels. Very rarely you find a crime thriller, true crime story which touches your soul. And
okay.
there was motivation. I knew this story because from first-hand experience, because I was born there, and I knew a lot of actors. Just imagine in your country, something like that becomes the global news story, right?
Yeah.
And you may have heard, and you may have known somebody, and then it just becomes, and a lot of that story. And then I want to tell that part of the story because the how to say, the scene of crime thrillers,
Mm.
in my humble opinion, doesn't have a lot of these kind of stories, right? So it's a true story, and it has a complex characters and complex background, which is not only a kiss bang bang story.
Wow.
And then the third one was motivation of. I heard a lot of because they became global theme and they became global popular characters, and I heard a lot of wrong interpretation
Mm.
through different media in shape of TV series, in shape of movies, in shape of books. I
Mm.
heard a lot of people who I knew some true facts just by coincidence,
Mm.
and the way it was presented wrong. So when you talk about motivation, so yes, there was a desire to tell a story. That's one. Then to tell that kind of story at this stage in time, in that area of crime thrillers, which there are not too many, because I don't remember when after The Godfather or maybe The Wire or maybe The Sopranos in some areas,
Mm.
I've seen a good crime thriller story. I'm not talking about those murders and whatever is now popular in that so-called true crime. So
Wow.
that's motivation. And then the third one is tell the true story about how it really occurs.
Wow. I love your sound of that, and I love your take on that, and I love hearing you talk about it. Sounds to me to be quite great, quite compelling, quite amazing. And it sounds to me as well as a lovely introduction to becoming a writer. Lovely, beautiful introduction into becoming an author. Thank you so much for sharing. Some media inquiries have come up regarding your supposed connection to the Pink Panther diamond thieves. They've pointed to the detail, discretion, and criminal tactics in your book, which seems so real that it is hard for some to believe you weren't directly involved, or at least the source of your income involved. And I'd like to ask you, how do you handle this writing in post allegation? Or is there another way I could even call it? How do you handle this? I mean, just tell us about it. I'm just curious.
A long time ago, when it was first asked, these questions were very popular because I guess we live in this clique culture that
Yeah.
they want titles to be bombastic and they want to attract people. And then if you just say it's an author, it's an imagination, it's not so interesting like saying this guy might be a diamond thief. And I think that was the motivation when he started. But then you need to think of all the popular authors who created different kind of stories, and then would they really ask them? Not you particularly, but talking about in my country, I was in situations that journalists asked me those provocative questions, and they knew that I have nothing to do with them, but they still asked it because it was popular, and they wanted to create that attention, right?
Wow.
So, and then I asked that journalist that when he first asked me, it confused me at first, and I asked him, would you ask Dan Stojkovic, which is a Serbian author, which writes about empires? He has a vampire story in his novels, and then he writes also crime thrillers, but he just introduces that vampire all over and over through different phases in history. And I asked him, would you ask Stojkovic, is he a vampire? He said,
Wow.
no, no. But he wrote a good vampire story, right? Yes. So
Wow.
why am I a diamond thief if I wrote a realistic book about the theme of diamond thieves and he's not a vampire? No, that's not what I meant. But you know what I mean, or in a global stage you have J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter stories. She wrote amazing books, right? And is she a wizard? Maybe she
Yeah.
is, right? No. Or we have so many examples. Go to Dracula, Bram Stoker. Amazing book. But
Yeah.
was he a vampire? No. So you can write a good, realistic book about a theme if you know a lot about it, if you are inspired, and then it can, that's inspiration, imagination, and some knowledge, some factual data can merge into a synergy, and then it can become this realistic product, which now people are confused. But what I also realized, now through so many years, trust me, even people that I know personally for 20, 30, 40 years from my childhood, they would ask me, no, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. No, you know me. No, 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 no. This cannot. You cannot know this. How do you find out? So what I realized, long story short, people will make their own minds even before, so now when somebody listens to this interview, if they read about the book, they'll make up their own mind in advance to my answer. And whatever I said, so I'm telling you because people who know me for 40 years, it's my childhood, since kindergarten, preschool, who know me that I couldn't be there and do this, they still ask me, no, it's so realistic, tell me. So that's, and after I told them, and I saw in their eyes, they don't believe me. So I just stopped, I stopped answering, it's, you think what you think. It is a quality book, not based on me praising it. It's based on several reviews and some interest caused at the different levels of media. And it's a good product in that theme, in the theory is a good product. And then people always talk, they'll come with different theories. It's also interesting because it creates attention, and then I'm personally I don't chase it, but it's good for the book, right? It's good for that product. I want that story to be shared.
Wow. Wow. That's very amazing to know, really. I mean, I love your take. I love your description of it. And thank you for comprehensive answer into that. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. And also, I'd like to ask you, there has been some buzz about the Hollywood deal you signed for turning your book into a TV series. Can you tell us briefly about that also?
That has become a hot topic now. So I had two offers. One was a famous Serbian producer, which I've heard before. He done some action blockbusters with Bruce Willis, etc. And he was famous for he was a roommate with Vin Diesel, the Fast and Furious Hollywood superstar, and so really strong prospects. And then there was another producer, so I got two offers. So this famous action blockbuster guy who is personal friends with Bruce Willis and Vin Diesel, and there was an unknown, a Latin American production company called Tiger House Production, or Tiger Casa de Productora in Spanish. Almost unknown. They did a couple of small productions for Netflix in Latin American area. That's what I thought at first also, but I chose the Spanish unknown. I mean Latin American unknown production company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so maybe it's shocking, and many times I thought I regretted or I made a mistake, but this is my reasoning. This is not a kiss kiss bang bang story. This is not an action. It is when you read about it. Yes, so it is a global blockbuster. It is in the fanciest locations around the world. The heists and robberies are from like copy from a Hollywood movie, but it's a complex story about the destruction and dissolution of a country, and how it shaped young people through that war, and who didn't want to become criminals, but they became criminals due to circumstances, because the only way to survive, they were forced into a war, so they had to maybe kill to survive that war first, and then after the war there is nothing, and then they were sidelined. I went to different directions. So it's not only action blockbuster, So now if you have a guy who's powerful and cocky, and maybe he could write a good action, and then these other guys showed up, and they explain it in different form or shape. And then I read about their series. They wrote smart dramas, I mean, I speak a little Spanish, but I didn't see it, but I read the reviews, and so this story that I wrote is an epic saga. It's a drama. It is a military thriller. It is a crime thriller. It is a mystery thriller, because it explains some of the true crime mysteries in detail. But overall, it's a drama. It's a epic drama. And so I went with that other option because I like to take risks. And then they explained to me, The first guy, he talked about the movie. So commercially and maybe financially,
Yeah.
maybe the first option will be successful. But I don't want the book. There are all the robberies. There is everything about that crime cartel. Yes, but there is the background story. And then if you cut in maybe in percentages, maybe it's 50-50. So I don't want to, although it may be popular, it may be successful, it
Yeah.
may be commercial to advertise and to make it profitable product, right? In that media branch, but my main goal and motivation when you talk about the trifle motivation, the main one is to share the story. And if I share a partial part of that story,
Yeah.
did I succeed?
Wow.
If I get rich along the process, did I succeed? It may sound crazy, but I would rather earn less or nothing, but tell my story in full, which is the full story with all the drama, all the background, and not only the action. You know.
Interesting. Oh,
So
wow.
we'll see. Maybe it's wrong move. I chose those guys. We're discussing. So far, it did not materialize into real.
Oh,
It's still
wow.
being discussed. There are still negotiations going, and
Mm.
that contract was signed 2.5 years ago. It expires next summer, 25. It was a 3 years contract, and
Mm.
we'll see. If it doesn't materialize, I have some other offers now. So now it gained some popularity. Some media articles were written only about that deal, right? Then it's interesting. Now it's not only a book from unknown author. Now it's a book which gained interest,
Yeah.
and then some producers. And in that Hollywood side of the, because I'm just an unknown guy, not an author, never wrote nothing. This is my debut novel, right?
Yeah.
I didn't write nothing. I'm not experienced, and especially even if I was an experienced author, you go into this area to talk with the producers, and they tell you send a contract, and then read the contract, and they're literally. I'm fluent in English. I do all my business all my life doing English, but I read it and I don't understand. Not those legal terms and so it's all new, and then you need to go through that process. We'll see how it works out. Now there's some other context also. I want to bring it personally. I wish it happens, my motivation is not only financial or
Oh,
popularity.
wow.
It never was, but I wish that it's shared because I know it's going to gain more insights into this power of this story, and the story is most important. So hopefully it
Yeah.
happens.
I love your take on that. That was quite great. That was quite huge. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know that this is a planned trilogy. How is the other series coming so far? Any progress with their writing and publication?
There was a certain block caused by some personal issues, and life takes away to different. It probably you're author yourself. Some days you have it, some days it's automatic. For me, I'm not a classic author. My motivation for that story was different, and then when and you as a fellow author, it's not easy. It's never easy. It can be a partial inspiration, but then again, if you need to put in numbers, there is more hard work to polish that product, whatever it is, a song, a poem, whatever you're working on,
Hmm.
to become that final piece of art. And so I had some personal issues, some health issues, and that was one of the reasons I wrote the book, because I thought I was dying. And now in this period, I was navigating through thousands of trying to fix those health issues. And then, when you go through that mainstream health, big pharma, legal institutions, you think they would help you, but then they don't help you. And then you get then I noticed the trend of through my life I always dealt on a thin line between crime and legality, and I've seen a lot of those crime guys and legal guys, and it's just the life we had in that civil war area. There was a lot of crime around, and it reminded me of real drug pushers, like the real the criminal drug dealers. You know, the way I was treated and how I was experimented on like guinea pig. And none of those therapies or those medications pushed on me by science guys, by real doctors, didn't help. And then I had to go, searching for different solutions. I had to go to that natural side. I had to go to diets. I had to go to change my life habits. And there, a miracle happens. You know, years of these legal and official institutional doctors and therapies, and in short period of time, of just changed the diets principles, changed habits, gave me so much more progress that it was amazing. And now in this, and then in the last periods, I'm writing a book about that process, and I named it. I didn't know how to name it. The book title is Smart Book, Life Optimization Smart, because it's about life in general. It's not only about my health, because I could not fix my health before I fixed my mindset, you know, and before I partially fixed my sleep because I had problems with sleep. So it's all interconnected. That's why I say I named it work title Life Optimization Smart Book, because my daughter told me, you know, that's something you should share. You should not hold it to yourself because you might help somebody. So I think I'll finish it because I'm deep into it because of my own personal issues, and then I'll go back to the second part of the trilogy, which I wrote. I wrote the first chapter for that second part of the trilogy. It goes deeper into the complexity of the characters. Now they work at a different level. You know, now they are crime cartel at global level, and now they merge with different types of crime, which are also legal. Because the title of the book, Greatest Thieves, and by the end of the book, you realize that the thieves are not only those thieves stealing diamonds. You'll see that a lot of other thieves that you see in those fancy suits on the TV called the elite, that they are real thieves. So and now he's going deeper into that one. So after I finished this health optimization, life optimization smart book, book about diet, vitality, healthy lifestyle, mindset. And then I'll go back to the second part of the trilogy. And then in the meantime, I had a lot of re-edits of the book because through the discussion with producers, you come to that different level of knowledge. Now you have your piece of art and you think this is a perfect story, and then they tell you this and this and this to a little detail, like this name doesn't explain the background of the story, his role in this book as a leader, as a military intelligence operative who became a leader of a gang, of a global crime cartel. His name would be better to be Gray, not Green. Like in reality, it was Green. His nickname was Green. They say Gray because he walks. His true is not black. He's not white. When you get to know his story, it's more gray. And and all other little details. And then how they read the story, how they interpret your story. So there was a lot of edits. So that was the main focus, re-editing the first parts to make it more understandable to the broader audience, which we now aim for through the book and plus through hopefully the movie or TV series. And we'll go from there. We'll see how it develops.
Of your take on that, really, it sounds to me to be very amazing, quite great, very educative, quite illustrative, and extremely literature in nature. So thank you so much for sharing. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview, I would love to get a copy of your book. On what platform is it available on for purchase?
Globally, it's on all the global platforms. Anyone you can think of is there. From Barnes and Noble, Apple Books, Amazon, etc. So I think it's now represented at all the major platforms.
Interesting. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Neboysha Saikovski book directly on Amazon, on Barnes& Noble's, on his website, and also another platform. I also left links to social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Neboysha, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. I must say it's been wholesome so far, speaking with you and having a conversation. around your beautiful title. Thank you so much for coming on. It is much appreciated, and this is very great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for shedding more light on the greatest thieves, the first book in the series so far. Thank you. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate you.